Hello, guys and gals, and welcome. So today I'm going to go over something that they talked about in the campfire chat, and I wanted to go into it in a little bit more detail. They talked about being able to finally, actually farm items specifically based on the endgame bosses drop table. So they have given the endgame bosses specific items that they will drop more commonly than any other. Grigore is going to be a prolific dropper of the Staff of Lamasem, Ice Heart Bryce, and the Gloves of the Illuminator. Insatiable Fury, Hunter Zenith, Wax and Gibbous, the Butcher's Cleaver, Barbarian, Romulandi's Magnum Opus, Rage of Haragath, Ancient's Oath, Battle Trance, Butcher's Cleaver, Necromancer, Blood Artisan's Curios, Howl from Below, and Greaves of Empty Tomb, Rogue, Word of Akan, Grasp of Shadow, and Windforce, and all classes, Penitent Greaves. Varshan is going to be a prolific dropper of Staff of Endless Rage, Asu's Heirloom, Raiment of the Infinite. Druid is Mad Wolf's Glee, Vasily's Prayer, Great Staff of the Crone. Barbarian, Fields of Crimson, 100,000 Steps, and Gore's Devastating Grips. Necromancer, Bloodless Scream, Deathless Visage, and Death Speaker's Pendant. Rogue, Condemnation, Eyes in the Dark, Sky Hunter, and generic items, Frostburns and Mother's Embrace. Beast in the Ice is going to be a dropper of Staff of Lamasem, Esu's Heirloom, Gloves of the Illuminator, the Oculus for the Sorceress, Druid, Insatiable Fury, Hunter Zenith, Waxing Gibbous, and Storm's Companion. Beast in the Ice will be Fields of Crimson, 100,000 Steps, Ancient's Oath, Battle Trance, and Hellhammer for the Barbarian. Necromancer, Bloodless Scream, Howl from Below, Death Speaker's Pendant, and Ring of Mendeln. Rogue, Condemnation, Word of Akan, Windforce, and Eaglehorn. And then finally, all classes, Frostburn, Mother's Embrace, Fists of Fate, and Tassets of the Dawning Sky. Then we also have Lord Zir. Lord Zir is going to be one of the new bosses. I believe he's the vampire boss. Sorceress, Staff of Endless Rage, Ice Heart Bryce, Ribbon of the Infinite, Asadora's Overflowing Cameo. Druid, Mad Wolf's Glee, Vasily's Prayer, Great Staff of the Crone, Flesh Render, and the Butcher's Cleaver. Barbarian, Romulandi's Magnum Opus, Rage of Haragoth, Gore's Devastating Grips, Overkill, the Butcher's Cleaver. Necromancer, Blood Artisan's Curios, Deathless Visage, Greaves of the Empty Tomb, and Lidless Wall. Rogue, Grasp of Shadow, Eyes in the Dark, Sky Hunter, and Ashira's Kanjar, which I believe was a really good one. All classes, Penitent, Greaves, Razor Plate, and Temerity. Then finally, we also have Duriel himself. Duriel is going to be dropping some pretty special items this season. He is dropping Flamescar and Blue Rose for the Sorceress. Barbarian is Azure Wrath and the Tusk Helm of Joritz the Mighty. Rogue is the Cowl of the Nameless and Scoundrel's Leathers. Druid is the Tempest Roar and Dolmen Stone. Necromancer is the Black River and Blood Moon Breaches. And then for all classes, he will be dropping specially the Godslayer Crown, Flicker Step, Tybalt's Will, Exval's Corroded Signet, Soulbrand, and Banish Lord's Talisman. He also is going to have a special ability of a much higher drop chance for Uber Uniques. So all of the Uber Uniques will have a pretty good drop chance from Duriel, is what they're saying. Uber Duriel is going to require some pretty hefty doojanks to get to, though. But he does have a special drop chance for Doombringer, the Grandfather, Melted Heart of Selig, and Dariel's Visage, Harlequin Crest, Ring of the Starless Skies, and Averion Spear of Lycander. Now, to get to these bosses, there is kind of like a whole thing that you've got to go through. So it is important to note that to actually reach these bosses, you are going to have to complete Whispers and also HellTides, which will give you the ingredients that you need to get to those bosses. It's going to be like a tiered event, basically, where you start at the Whispers and the HellTides, collecting the materials that you need to fight the first tier of bosses, and then when you complete those tiers of bosses, you will collect the materials to fight the other tiers of bosses. It's going to be very similar in a lot of ways for those of you who played Diablo 2 to the, well, Uber Tristram event, where you have to go and collect the keys, and then you go and kill the other bosses, and you get the organs, and then finally use the organs to confront the final boss. Well, Duriel is essentially, Uber Duriel is essentially the final boss, so this is the one that you're collecting all the materials for. And a lot of these other bosses represent kind of like Uber Iswal, Uber Lilith, like the like Uber Duriel, etc. in Diablo 2. So Lord Zir, Beast in the Ice, Varshan, and Grigore are basically the preliminary for getting you the ingredients that you need, which from what I understand of what you need to actually reach them. They're called like festering eggs or something that you will collect from the other bosses, which will give you the access to Duriel. From what I understand, if you gain all the materials, just like with Uber Tristram, let's say you get all your organs together and you make the portal and you fail, then obviously you lose the organs that you use to summon that Uber Tristram portal, so you just don't get any reward. And you lose, obviously, what you collected to access that time. So if you fail on your run with Duriel, then you are, of course, going to lose. Oh man, sneeze. You're going to lose everything. And you're going to have to go through the process of farming the ingredients again. So keep that in mind. This should be a kind of a fun little endgame thing, going through the process of farming the materials to fight the bosses. My only worry about all this, and this is my personal anxiety running, is basically that Uber Lilith, or the Echo of Lilith, is so ridiculously difficult that unless you do a cheese build, which the developers literally said were all cheating, basically. They literally said that basically everybody who was killing Uber Lilith up to this point was essentially just cheating. And they and they basically destroyed all those bugged builds, the cheated builds, essentially the exploitative builds. The only character that they said was not cheating, that when they absolutely demolished Uber Lilith, was the Necromancer. These are not my words, by the way. This is what they said during the campfire chat. And the one I'm worried about is that at this particular moment, Uber Lilith is basically impossible for regular players. I mean, you can try, but the mechanics are just so. Ugh. I mean, you get one shot a lot, blah blah blah. I'm not really going to get into the whole Uber Lilith thing. I'm sure some of you guys will call me a wimp, but I just personally think that she's too difficult for no reason. And she doesn't really have good rewards, so nobody really wants to kill her anyway. But Duriel does have good rewards, and I'm just a little bit worried that he might be impossible to kill, like Uber Lilith is impossible to kill, basically, for the average player. And I don't care about the non-average players. Like, I hate to say it, but any of you guys out there who are in like the top 1% who can kill Uber Lilith in like 10 seconds and you laugh about it, I mean, you're not the 99% of the rest of the user base. And for the majority of the people who play Diablo, having a boss that's nearly impossible to kill is not good for the game overall. So I do hope that Duriel is difficult, but not impossible to kill. Because if he's impossible to kill, if he's ridiculously hard to kill to the point where nobody can achieve that goal, then it's going to completely kill that end game loop. But it is kind of nice that we have these places that we can go to try and farm specific unique items. Powerful unique items that might be, for our specific builds, obviously. On top of that, the fact that Duriel has also been reported to always drop 925 item power items means that when you find your, Flamescar or Black River or whatever, it's going to be a very high item power version. So like, for instance, with the Black River, because it's a weapon, you're going to want that in the highest item power version that you can possibly get. Well, they said that the items that drop from Uber Duriel are going to be guaranteed 925 item power, which means that you won't have to worry about your Black River dropping with garbage eye level, which is nice. I'm not sure about the rest of these guys. Lord Zir, Beast in the Ice, Varshan, and Grigore. They didn't really kind of say exactly what item power they would be dropping, so I guess we're going to find out as we go forward. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when we're just talking about target farming specific uniques. And as always, keep watching.